New York City, January 1943. Room 3327 of the New Yorker Hotel stood locked for 2 days. Inside lay the body of Nikola Tesla, lifeless, yet still surrounded by a faint hum, the electric echo of a man who had refused to let the world remain in darkness. When the door was opened, what they found was more than just a room. It was a vault of human genius. Stacks of papers lined the walls, diagrams, symbols, and equations that no one could immediately decipher. Notebooks filled with delicate handwriting in foreign languages, Serbian, German, English, each page radiating the fever of discovery. And in the center of it all, a small table lamp glowing dimly, still connected to his experimental coil. Even in death, Tesla's room pulsed with the heartbeat of invention. Within hours, word reached the FBI and the Office of Alien Property Custodian. Agents entered quietly, taking boxes labeled Tesla papers. To the public, the story was simply a routine collection of a foreign citizen's property during wartime. But to those who knew Tesla, it felt different. They weren't just taking his belongings. They were taking his unfinished future. Witnesses recalled seeing trunks filled with blueprints for weapons, machines, and devices that seemed centuries ahead of their time. Some spoke of papers marked Teleforce, free energy, and planetary resonance. Others said they saw sketches of flying discs, wireless towers, and global transmission grids. The official statement declared, nothing of national significance was found. But those who had looked inside the trunks knew otherwise. For within those pages were Tesla's last, most daring dreams, inventions too advanced, too disruptive, and perhaps too dangerous for the world of 1943. Tesla had always lived at the edge of the known world. He once said, "Let the future tell the truth and evaluate each one according to his work and accomplishments. The present is theirs. The future, for which I have really worked, is mine." In his final decades, as the world prepared for war, Tesla prepared for something else, a revolution of peace through limitless energy. He believed that energy filled all of space, a sea of invisible waves waiting to be harnessed. He called it the wheelwork of nature. To him, electricity was not something produced by burning coal or oil. It was already there, woven into the fabric of the universe. He designed a series of devices to capture it. His most famous, the Wardenclyffe Tower on Long Island, a massive structure built not to transmit radio, as many thought, but to send wireless power across the earth. He envisioned a world where anyone, anywhere, could draw energy from the air, free, clean, and endless. Imagine cities without power lines, ships without fuel, airplanes flying perpetually through the sky. But there was a problem. Energy that was free could not be owned. And in a world built on profit, that made Tesla dangerous. When J.P. Morgan, his financier, realized Tesla's tower would transmit power, not messages, he withdrew support. Construction stopped. The dream of free global energy was buried under debt and ridicule. Yet Tesla never gave up. He dismantled what he could, hid his notes, and continued experimenting in secret. He wrote of a magnifying transmitter, a device capable of resonating with the Earth itself. By tuning into the planet's natural frequency, he claimed one could send both energy and information instantly across any distance. He even tested it in Colorado Springs, where bolts of blue lightning leapt from his coils into the midnight sky, witnessed by farmers miles away. The locals thought it was magic. Tesla knew it was science that the world wasn't ready for. In 1934, newspapers carried a headline that stunned the world. Tesla invents death ray for defense. But Tesla's idea was never meant for destruction. He called it Teleforce, a directed energy beam designed to make war impossible. He described it not as a weapon of conquest, but as a wall of energy, an invisible shield around nations that could destroy any aircraft or projectile that crossed its path. A defense so absolute, it would end all wars. Tesla claimed he could project tiny, charged particles, microscopic bullets. He said traveling at speeds so high they could melt any material instantly. The weapon would run not on explosives or chemicals, but on electropotential, the same universal energy. he sought to make free. Governments listened, intrigued but skeptical. He offered his plans to the League of Nations and the U.S. government, asking for only a small budget to build a prototype. He was ignored. But after his death, those same governments scrambled to seize his notes. Historians now know that the FBI ordered a detailed analysis of Tesla's confiscated papers. The man assigned to examine them was none other than Dr. John G. Trump, uncle of future U.S. President Donald Trump, a brilliant MIT engineer and physicist. His report concluded that Tesla's papers contained no practical designs for new weapons. Yet for decades, rumors persisted that parts of his research were quietly integrated into secret military projects. In reality, much of Tesla's death ray was theoretical, a blend of known physics and visionary imagination. But the concept of directed energy weapons lives on today in modern military research: lasers, plasma beams, and microwave defense systems. The seeds of those technologies trace back to Tesla's pen. To him, the idea was not about domination, but salvation. He wanted a world where fear was obsolete, where nations could protect themselves without shedding blood. He wanted peace through science. But humanity was still learning how to use electricity without burning itself. Tesla's inventions blurred the line between reality and myth, not because he was a magician, but because he was a scientist ahead of his time. His lost papers, locked in government archives, whispered of a world where energy, resonance, and frequency could heal, protect, and empower all life. The question that remains is not whether he could do it, but whether the world was ready to let him. The year was 1899. Tesla arrived in Colorado Springs, carrying little more than notebooks, dreams, and a conviction that the Earth itself could become a conductor of limitless power. He rented a plot of land just outside the city flat, open and far from the interference of telegraph lines. There, amid the prairie wind, he constructed a strange wooden building crowned with a towering 200-foot mast and a copper sphere at its peak. Locals called it Tesla's Station of Lightning. Inside, coils the size of horses wound in spirals around the room. Massive transformers groaned as Tesla's assistants connected them to experimental capacitors. When a switch was thrown, the night exploded. Forks of blue-white lightning erupted from the mast, crackling into the stormy Colorado sky. People in the town miles away could hear the thunder of his experiments echoing across the plains. Witnesses swore the ground itself seemed to hum, their metal fences vibrating with unseen force. Tesla recorded everything. He observed strange phenomena, lightning bolts striking the same spot repeatedly, sparks leaping from the soil, and lamps glowing with no wires attached. He had done it. He had transmitted power through the earth itself. He called it resonance, the key to nature's secret. Every object, he said, has a frequency at which it vibrates. By matching that frequency, even the smallest signal could grow into a massive wave. It was not just physics. It was harmony, the music of matter itself. In his notebooks, he wrote, "If we could but release the energy contained within the earth, humanity would be free from toil and scarcity forever." Tesla envisioned towers around the globe, each one tuned to the Earth's frequency, sending energy, data, and communication wirelessly to every home, ship, and city. He imagined farmers in deserts drawing power directly from the soil. He saw airships powered by invisible current gliding across continents. But there was a cost to his experiments. During one stormy night, his transmitter overloaded. A blinding flash filled the room, and the generators in Colorado Springs exploded. The local power company shut down electricity for the entire town. Tesla calmly wrote in his journal, "We have pushed the Earth too hard tonight." To him, this was not failure, it was proof. He had touched the pulse of the planet. When he left Colorado, he packed his notebooks and returned east, convinced that the next step, a worldwide transmission system, was within reach. That dream would become Wardenclyffe Tower and, eventually, his ruin. When Nikola Tesla died in 1943, he left behind a trail of mysteries that investigators are still trying to solve. In the New Yorker hotel, Officials documented 80 trunks associated with Tesla's life and research, but only 60 were ever recovered. The rest vanished. Some were said to have contained notebooks from Colorado Springs, detailed schematics for the magnifying transmitter, and experimental data on resonant energy transmission. Others, perhaps, contained the blueprints for devices he had never dared to reveal publicly. The missing trunks sparked legends of secret government seizures, corporate theft, even black market collectors. But the truth may be simpler and stranger. Tesla often moved from hotel to hotel, never owning a home. He would pay his bills with his possessions, trunks of papers he swore contained priceless ideas. When he fell behind on rent, hotel owners would confiscate them. Some were sold. Some were lost. Some may still sit in forgotten basements, misidentified as junk. And yet, certain witnesses recall that Tesla kept a special chest, a trunk he never let anyone open. He told one hotel clerk that inside was something that could change the destiny of mankind. When the FBI entered his room after his death, that chest was gone. Was it taken before he died? Did Tesla give it to someone, a friend, a student, an assistant, knowing that his greatest ideas might never be safe in official hands? Theories abound. Some claim the chest contained his earthquake machine, a small mechanical oscillator capable of shaking entire buildings through resonance. Others believe it held components of his wireless energy receiver, or even early prototypes of remote-controlled aerial vehicles, flying machines that could operate without pilots. In 1898, Tesla had already demonstrated a radio-controlled boat at Madison Square Garden decades before drones or wireless control became reality. If he had extended that principle to flight, his missing trunk might have contained one of the earliest visions of unmanned aircraft. Whatever the truth, those missing trunks became the stuff of legend, the lost library of a forgotten god of electricity. Somewhere, perhaps in an attic or archive, a notebook still waits its ink faded, its genius undimmed. Not all of Tesla's hidden inventions were mechanical. Some were biological, aimed at healing, rejuvenation, and the restoration of life itself. Tesla believed that the human body was not just matter, but vibration, a symphony of electrical rhythms. Illness, he said, was a dissonance of frequency. Restore the proper vibration, and the body would heal itself. He began experimenting with high-frequency currents, discovering that they could pass harmlessly through the body while stimulating tissues, nerves, and cells. He invented devices that emitted oscillating electromagnetic waves, precursors to today's medical diathermy and electrotherapy machines. When doctors witnessed his demonstrations, they were astonished. Patients reported reduced pain, faster healing, and renewed energy. Tesla predicted a future where medicine would use electricity, light, and resonance to cure disease. He said, "In the 21st century, physicians will treat patients with frequencies instead of drugs." He also spoke of vibrational nutrition, energy not taken from food, but absorbed directly from the environment. He believed humanity could one day learn to draw energy from the ether, eliminating hunger and fatigue. Modern science now explores similar frontiers: bioresonance therapy, pulsed electromagnetic fields, and quantum-level healing. Though controversial, they echo Tesla's forgotten intuition that life itself is electric. His work also extended to wireless lighting, which he called cold light. Unlike the hot filaments of Edison's bulbs, Tesla's lamps glowed through ionized gases, safe, efficient, and durable. Today, neon and fluorescent lights owe their existence to his research. Yet, as the century turned, his patents were buried under corporate power. His health technologies were dismissed as pseudoscience. The world preferred profit to progress. Still, Tesla's dream lingered, a dream where energy flowed freely, not just to machines, but through the very veins of humanity. A dream of universal resonance, where every being vibrated in harmony with the earth. He once said, "When wireless is perfectly applied, the whole earth will be converted into a huge brain, capable of response in every one of its parts." He was describing in 1900 for the concept of a global network of communication and consciousness. Today, we call it the Internet. Tesla's hidden papers were more than inventions. They were messages to the future. Each diagram, each equation, each strange symbol was a fragment of a vision so vast it still challenges us. He saw a world powered not by greed, but by the heartbeat of the universe. A world of balance, light, and freedom. And maybe, just maybe somewhere in those lost trunks, he left the instructions to build it. Sure thing, here's a self-contained continuation for you. I'll keep the tone consistent with the earlier chapters. Calm, cinematic narration, factual core with a sense of wonder, but no unsupported conspiracies. When officials sealed room 3327 in 1943, the government assigned Tesla's belongings to the Office of Alien Property. They weren't hunting for magic, they were trying to make sure no wartime secrets were lost to America's enemies. Still, the mere act of sealing those trunks lit a spark that would burn for decades. Physicist Dr. John G. Trump of MIT, an expert in high-voltage generators, was asked to evaluate the material. After 3 days, he filed his report. The papers contained nothing that would constitute a hazard in unfriendly hands. They were the writings of an old scientist, brilliant but speculative. To the government, the mystery was closed. To the public, it had just begun. Rumors spread that hidden among the calculations were working drawings for wireless power stations, earthquake devices, anti-gravity engines, and teleforce weapons. Decades later, when the U.S. Army declassified the Tesla papers, most of what surfaced were familiar patents and lecture notes, fascinating, yes, but not supernatural. Yet the gap between the man's imagination and what physics could prove left room for myth, and the myth refused to die. Historians now see the Tesla files not as evidence of lost supertechnology, but as a portrait of a mind racing far ahead of its century, ideas half-built, half-dreamed, waiting for the mathematics and materials that would one day catch up. Time passed. The world that once ignored Tesla began quietly rediscovering him. His ideas surfaced in radio, radar, remote control, wireless power transfer, and medical electromagnetics. Engineers experimenting with inductive charging for phones and vehicles speak his language. Resonance, frequency, coupling. Physicists studying wireless data across satellite networks are chasing the same goal, instant communication through the atmosphere without wires. In medicine, high-frequency therapy and magnetic imaging draw on principles Tesla demonstrated in his laboratory a century ago. Even the dream of distributing energy through the air is returning, this time with lasers and microwaves instead of copper coils. Each rediscovery feels like an echo, the faint replay of a note struck long ago in Colorado Springs. Tesla's handwriting may have faded, but the resonance he sought still moves through the circuits of every powered world. To call Tesla merely an inventor is too small. He was a monk of electricity, a man who gave his body and fortune to a single vow, to understand the invisible. While others chased patents for profit, Tesla chased perfection. He once said, "The desire that guides me in all I do is the desire to harness the forces of nature for the service of mankind." He slept little, ate less, and refused comfort. Every success brought him closer to isolation, yet he never surrendered to bitterness. Even as investors abandoned him, he continued to file patents, lecture on peace, and sketch machines that no one else could imagine. His devotion was both his crown and his cross. It burned through his life like the arcs from his coils, beautiful, blinding, and impossible to contain. When he died, the light went out in his room, but not in the world. Every bulb that shines today hums with the rhythm of his dream. 80 years have passed since the door of room 3327 closed for the last time, yet Tesla's shadow grows longer with each decade. The unit of magnetic flux density, the Tesla, honors his name. Electric vehicles bearing it carry his spirit across highways. His image flickers on screens, his words quoted by engineers and dreamers alike. In classrooms, children build coils that spark blue fire, discovering wonder where he once stood alone. In laboratories, scientists speak of quantum fields, zero-point energy, and global resonance concepts that echo his metaphors for the wheelwork of nature. Perhaps that is his truest invention. Not a machine, but a mindset, the conviction that the universe is alive with possibilities waiting to be tuned into harmony. So when we light a lamp, send a signal, or whisper across continents, we are each of us completing one of his circuits. The current flows on. The devoted inventor lives in the glow.